Hi guys, welcome to Counterpoints. My name's Connor. I'm a science fiction, politics, and philosophy nerd, Marine Corps and law enforcement veteran, and I would argue a real Republican, meaning that I hold actual real Republican values, unlike MAGA, in my opinion. Now, what we're going to be reviewing today is a little bit of drama, but it involves the debate space. I don't know why I got tongue-tied right there, but it involves the debate space that I have recently joined, in which Andrew Wilson, also known as Big Papa Fascist, also known as the guy who bullies whores on the whatever podcast, he has gotten a little bit big for his britches. Rob Noerr, who works for the Crucible, has gotten a little bit big for his britches. They are mad that a panel host that is aligned with them was talking shit about Rob Noerr, and that's kicked off a little bit of a drama. So let's go ahead and get into it. We'll break it down intermittently.
Sometimes people just don't learn. They just don't get it. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, they just don't get it. A lot of people who have carved a pretty good living off of the Crucible. For instance, if you go to Sara the Tomato's channel, her top 18, just put most popular in her live. The top 18, meaning the best 18 videos that she has, the top, are all me.
Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at this, because my frustration with this is so the fuck what? Okay. Sara, Raging Tomato. So she's got 17K subs. She's a little bit smaller. She has and that's not like, I'm smaller, but she has that set up. Doesn't look like she's really posting VODs. Looks like she just leaves everything up in her live stream. Wait, did she private everything? I might DM her. Why the fuck would she private everything? Is it because she's getting brigaded? That's bullshit. I hope she puts everything back up. I hope she puts everything back up and gives these motherfuckers a middle finger. Fuck these people. And I say that like I would be happy to talk to Rob Noerr or Andrew Wilson about this scenario, but I think they're effectively throwing a hissy fit. But let's get into the details a little bit more, I suppose. I'm going to DM Sara. I'm going to be like, wait, why'd you private everything?
I didn't even know I had appeared 18 times on Sara the Tomato's channel. I didn't even know I had been there 18 times. But the 18 times I was there are the best performing videos on the entire channel. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, we collaborated and we got high metrics. Okay, that shit happens all the time. So what, bro?
Isn't that interesting? Now, a little bit of drama pop off. I woke up this morning, and by this morning I mean late afternoon, and was listening to Rob Noerr ranting and raving on his channel. And I was like, well, what's all this about? What's Rob upset about? So I was tuning in and laughing as he kind of was covering what was going on. But let me explain what's
Leopold. That's what it was. Thank you, conservative liberalism. Leopold is the company that I was thinking of. Leopolds are $2,000, So that's where, for me, you spend, in my opinion, for an AR-15, you can get a Palmetto State Armory AR-15 for $500, right? And the quality control is going to be mixed. Like I said, put 1,000 rounds through it, make sure it actually runs. If it's broken, send it back to the manufacturer. But you can get a cheap, maybe reliable AR-15 for $500. But if you want to go Gucci, then you can go for like LMT or Daniel Defense, and then you drop $2,000, but you have almost guaranteed perfect quality control with perfect materials. But what's crazy about Leopold, and then conservative liberalism also says Swarovski, is with Leopold, your glass is as expensive as the gun. So you'll effectively, just for the glass, like a long range variable zoom scope, you'll be in the glass for like $1,500 to $2,500. And so without lasers, without lights, without pressure pads, without key mod rails, without rail covers, without a bad lever. I know people don't use bad levers anymore, but back when bad levers were a thing, without extra buttons or whatever that trigger is that everybody uses, that everybody recommends, a Geisley trigger. Without all that shit, you're already into the gun for like $4,000. So yeah, and sorry, that's rich for my blood. That fuck that.
God. So I have this rule, right?
Sun Patriarch says you're in Northeast Atlanta. I'm not driving, so I'm not going to be able to hang out on this trip. However, it will be north of you. It is north of Atlanta. It's somewhere in the mountains. I don't want to dox it, but basically, it's in like as soon as you get into the Appalachian Mountains, north of Atlanta. That's where it is.
There's two of them, really. The first is you put a knife in my back. You only ever get to do it once. That's the first.
Okay, let's write this down, because one of the ideas that we had yesterday was that we were going to start documenting the content with paints and all that kind of stuff. And then I was going to do like a 10 or 15 minute summary, and I was going to send that to my editor. So Andrew Wilson says, rule number 1, Andrew Wilson's rules. Because I feel like this whole thing is pretty fucking melodramatic. Rules. If you backstab me, you only get to do it once. And this is what's pissing me off about this drama is Sara didn't backstab. Sara front stabbed. She was like, hey, Rob, you're being fucking annoying. That's what Sara is guilty of, as far as I know. That's the accusation against Sara is, hey, Rob, you're kind of being a bitch on my panels, and it's fucking annoying. Stop being a bitch. Here's my advice to you. And then Rob was like, I'm not a bitch. Fuck you. And then Andrew Wilson's doing this.
First rule. It's a good rule.
Stepfather-in-law, you married your sister? No, my wife has a stepfather.
Used to be like, yeah, we can maybe work it out, and but over the years, I've just decided that it's just too much work, and I'm too busy. I'm too busy. And the second is, if you're too stupid to get it, you're too dangerous to work with. Those are the two rules. Pretty easy.
If you're too stupid to get it, you're too dangerous to work with. Okay. If you're too stupid to get it, then you're too stupid to work with. Now, my implication, so here's, I guess, what I would say is the most charitable interpretation. The most charitable interpretation would be, if you backstab me, but then you don't understand why I'm upset, then fuck you. And that I would say that's probably the most charitable interpretation. Now, my problem with if you're too stupid to get it is that I think this gets into like political teams. I think later on in the stream, and also with some Rob Noerr content, it gets into, we're all on the same team. We're all pushing in the same direction. We're all on a tribe. So if you push against my project, then fuck you. You're not a part of my team. And so I would actually follow up and ask Andrew, do you mean in reference to backstabbing, or do you mean that somebody needs to be on your team in order for you to work with them? Or do they need to be useful to your project? So for instance, like Andrew Wilson fights other people all the time who are not a part of his political project, but I think he does that because he knows he can profit from the interaction. So Andrew, I'll say this as Andrew Wilson rules for now, but we might amend it as the content continues.
You're right. You're too stupid to get it, then there's no point in working with you. And if you stick a knife in my back, that's the end of it. Now, I don't ever do the revenge thing. I never go for repercussions. I never do any of that. I do the worst possible thing that you could ever do to a person, which is I just cut off all contact with them. That's it.
What would Sida said Sara was being a bitch still? Tell me how. Now, the way that I would say that she was allegedly being a bitch was She told Rob, hey, you're being a bitch on my panels. You know, here's my unsolicited advice on how to conduct yourself on my panels. You know, stop being a pussy. Rob took that, you know, not well. And then I would say the part that I would admit was bitchy, or at least I've heard it described as being bitchy, was she was hanging out on a panel and there was like half a dozen people talking shit about Rob and she was yucking it up. That's the other thing that I've heard that was like, oh, you know, I could see how people would get fucking ass mad.
That's usually the worst possible thing you could ever do to people who stick a knife in your back. So that usually works the best for me. Now, the original How to Lose Friends and Burn Bridges was a video I did about a year ago on Alex PWF, who decided that he was going to go to a panel that I was not on and talk about me with his friends on that panel when I wasn't around. Felt like a pretty brutal betrayal of a guy who, if you go and sort his videos by most popular, his live streams, guess what you find? The exact same thing. A lot of people who cut a nice hog off of me who just can't help.
Okay, I'm gonna add a new rule that he doesn't even seem to be saying. This seems to be a new rule. Because this seems to be the unspoken rule. 3, if we make money together, you can't talk shit about me. And I don't even feel like I'm talking shit right now. All I've said so far is I think that this is melodramatic. That's what I've said. This does feel melodramatic.
They just can't help themselves. And this is why I always say, too, you know, never trust an e-girl. Never, ever trust an e-girl. Because it's not
Okay, that's a good rule.
even that they're malicious. They just don't get it. And you can't explain it to them. You can never explain it because they just don't understand it. Now, the last message I sent to Sara was, remember nepotism. Nepotism is how you stay successful in this world. Nepotism is how you stay successful. They just don't understand. And I don't know how else I can explain it. So we're going to dive into this. Let me give you a little bit of backstory here, because I didn't know exactly what was going on until I dove in and learned what was going on. I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory so that you understand what's happening here. Okay, now I'm not going to be able to stop this systematically in order to explain more backstory to you. So you're either going to be here at the beginning of the stream and get it, or you're not. What's
I might be too obtuse. My brain might be too smooth. I might not understand.
happening here, what you're seeing, is Rob Noerr, who is in a debate panel with Radical Coder, the Powdered Dusty, stupidest name ever, Nova Star, and it's moderated by this gentleman here, Trippy. Okay? That's what's happening. That's what you're looking at. Now, what happened is Rob, who is a world-class debater, literally world-class debater, has been up against the best in the world and beat them, is a valued asset to the Crucible because, well, he has this particular job that he's really good at. As stupid leftists to orbit and become dominant forces online, he catches them before they can and beats them down into the ground where they belong verbally. That's what he does. And he's really good at it.
I mean, that feels like a little, that glaze went a little bit too far. It feels a little gay, but that's okay. You know, I think that, I'll say it. I think that's genuinely, I think that's like actual mutual admiration. Okay. I think this is stupid. I think it's melodramatic. I think it's cringe to a certain level. I'll bring up a few of our drawings from yesterday in reference to the drama and then go through it. But you know, I'll have some frustration that I'll share with you. But I do think it's cute. I think it's cute that I think it's cute that they mutually admire each other. That's cute. I'm happy that they have a professional relationship and they mutually admire each other. Okay, so this drawing, and this is what frustrates me, is that Rob, amongst other people, have criticized me for being too aware of clout dynamics. but I just acknowledge clout dynamics and just it is what it is. It's part of the Twitch and YouTube online political debate space. So let's say that this was like Destiny was like the biggest one. Let's say that this is the Live and Learn crew cumulatively. Let's say that this was Sitch and Adam, and let's say that this was another creator. I don't know. I can't think of one off the top of my head. But let's just say that I have half of the. Let's say it's Lauren Southern, right? Lauren Southern. So there are crossover segments of the audience that all add up to, my audience and add up to my viewership and add up to the people who might check out my content. And that cumulatively is what I end up having. Now, what Rob said yesterday that I think is relevant to this conversation is that the Crucible right now, Andrew Wilson, to his credit, is getting like 5,000 live. I think he might even get more than that on certain nights. So he's doing well. Arguably, he's not quite as big as Destiny, but he's within spitting distance of Destiny, which is impressive comparing where he started from. So his argument, Rob's argument, and I think by proxy, Andrew Wilson's argument, is that Rob is obviously cross-pollinating from Andrew Wilson. He gets a few hundred live, he's got however many subs he's got, et cetera, et cetera. And so Rob and him are boys. They are mutually. Rob is a Andrew Wilson orbiter at this point. He's employed by the Crucible. They're friends. They talk highly of each other. They respect each other's, acumen, political debate acumen. And so as a result, they're going to be orbiters as long as they don't backstab each other. What Rob, and I think what Andrew Wilson is about to say, is that the Crucible has been a place where they have facilitated large conversations between Andrew Wilson and Rob Noerr and other Twitch and YouTube political people. So there should be some level of deference or respect that Sara should be paying to the Crucible and to Rob Noerr. And by insulting Rob Noerr, by hanging out with a bunch of other creators, then she has not paid her due deference. And as a result, Rob and Andrew are cutting her off. Now, I think that's a little melodramatic is the nice way that I can put it, but that's kind of where we're at. Now, in reference to the debate, this is where I would actually argue with Andrew in reference to Rob's debate stuff, okay? So I think that oftentimes Rob and Andrew Wilson debate to win, not to debate to understand. And I debate to understand. I understand that it's a rhetorically weaker thing to do in the debate space, but it's just the way my brain works. It's the way that I'm always going to function. And I think that my audience that I've accumulated likes the fact that I debate to understand. So with debating to understand, you have your primary argument, and then you have sub-arguments that support your primary argument. Well, what can happen sometimes is somebody will have a counter argument that modifies your sub-argument. They're just correct about an underlying fact, and you're either incorrect or you're unaware about that underlying fact. Well, what ends up happening is you might have to modify your sub-argument, but then you have to see if that modifies your whole argument. And if you're an honest debater, then you will acknowledge that this point either contradicts or modifies maybe a sub-argument and maybe a part of the larger argument. But debating to win is a different rhetorical strategy. Instead of acknowledging the counter argument that's valid, that actually should modify or change your argument, what you do is you just insist upon the rest of the argument that might be weak, but you still fight it out anyways. And then you jump to your other sub-arguments in order to fight the counter argument. And I would say this is debating to win. Then, sorry, I'm just going to go through it real quick. I'll go over these later just for the sake of flow. But one of my frustrations with Rob yesterday was he was saying that if you do a 2 to 5 minute rant and you don't let him get out 5 to 6 points without interruption, then you're a bad debater, which is just fundamentally untrue. Because I think any talented debater, if you're going on a 2 to 5 minute rant and they interrupt you at point 3, then you should be comfortable rolling into point 3 and then fighting on sub point 3. Anyways, let's get back to Andrew just for the sake of content flow.
Now, it's a pretty thankless job. But that's what he does. These pop their head.
Oh, somebody says we have LMTs in the Estonian military and the quality control is unacceptably bad. Recently, all our 7.62 marksman variants in our R20 platform had to be returned for warranty. Oh, shit. Lewis Machine Tool, that's what I'm talking about, UQ. Are you saying Lewis Machine Tool, they fucked up the guns? Let me know if you're referring to the company Lewis Machine Tool.
Head up, and he plays whack-a-mole with them. They pop their head up. Hey, I want to be a big lefty star. And Rob is right there to smack their ass right back down and says, no, you're not. No, you're not.
I do think it's cute that they have actual, genuine mutual admiration.
And absolutely savages them back into their stupid little hidey holes from which they came. It's a very thankless job, but he's really good at it. Really good at it. And for that, Rob, we thank you. Now, he decided, since Rob is a popular streamer, and he actually has quite a large audience, considering how badly he's been blacklisted.
Sorry. I love my chat. This is why I have the best chat in Twitch and YouTube politics. UQ says, fool me once. Shame on you. Fool me twice. You can't get fooled again. That's a George W. Bush quote for those unfamiliar.
All over the internet. He decided that he would go on and do yet another debate where Radical Coder, who's popping his head up for the purpose of some type of prominence, and he's doing what he does best, which is to bash them about the head.
I don't even know if that's true. So I've seen Radical Coder. I've seen Ryan jump onto the stream a whole bunch. I don't even know if he's streaming. If Ryan sees this, please, feel free to DM or jump in chat and tell me. I don't even know if this dude streams.
Head and shoulders verbally and stuff them back into their coom hole where they belong. In this particular exchange, the beginning of this panel, Rob wanted to give these people a taste of their own medicine. I had a bad feeling in how she moderated the last debate. Yeah. Anyway, he wanted to give them a taste of their own medicine. And so what he did on this particular panel is he wanted to demonstrate for them that it's necessary to have people like him on, world-class debaters who are prominent, know people, and have a good following, that if you fuck with those guys, right, your bread and butter from most of these non-tent makers, and what I mean by non-tent is they rely on other people 100% for all of their content. None of them are standalone creators like myself or Rob. Sure, we can rely on.
I don't think Rob's a standalone creator, brother. I think if you hadn't hired him as an employee and giving him the financial security that he needed, then he wouldn't be able to put in the hours necessary to be a standalone creator. So I don't accept that. A lot of people have, how would I say this? They were gifted a career by destiny. That's one of the criticisms of the orbit, is that Steven has effectively gift wrapped a digital career to a whole bunch of people, and a lot of them ended up being total fucking assholes and shitbirds. Whereas I think that Rob was gifted a similar thing. It's not whether or not Rob, if he streamed 40 hours a week, would he be able to pay bills? Yeah. But I don't think he would have had the financial security to make that transition without Andrew. So I don't agree with this. Rob was always going to succeed shit. No, I think he needed a patron in order to back the transition.
On people for it, but we don't have to. We can have people on the show. We don't need them. We can do solo shows. We can do debates. It doesn't really matter. We're just awesome at what we do. So anyway, back to the story at hand. Back to the story at hand. To teach these guys a lesson about the moderator from Trippy here, Rob.
Well, and by the way, all that Andrew has said is that Rob and Andrew can enter a fortress arc. They don't need to support Sara the Raging Tomato, and they'll be financially and clout-wise fine, which I think is true. That is true. But I also think that that's what Vosh did. And Vosh, I think correctly, received a ton of criticism for entering the fortress arc, because all Vosh does, I went over this yesterday, all Vosh does is he collects $200 for passing go. That's all he does. He goes live 3 to 4 times a week in order to talk about some cultural event that he's barely researched. He gives his lefty talking points. He makes a few $100 in super chats, and then he dips out. But as far as the way that he made his bones, in my opinion, Vosh made his bones being a lefty debater. He made his bones debating bigger creators. He made his bones being rhetorically gifted. He made his bones, I'm saying that weird, but he made his bones interacting with the Twitch and YouTube politics community. And I do think it's a form of cowardice in order to totally back out of the rest of the community just because you're going to catch shit during debates. I think it's weak.
Rob decided that he would stay on the panel, mute himself, right, and just allow these guys to continue with the boring panel that they had planned and show them that without him, it was not going to be a very good one. And, well, he was right. He was right. Now, interestingly enough, why do I give a shit about this? Well, I don't. I don't give a shit if this guy's a bad moderator. I don't give a shit if Rob Noerr lost a debate or won a debate. I don't give a shit about any of that because, frankly, it's none of my business, right? Rob can debate where he wants, who he wants. Him coming to work for the Crucible, we had the deal up front that Rob can do whatever content he wants, and I'm not going to interfere, and I never have. Not my business. So I don't care about any of that. I don't give a shit about any of these people who are over here talking mad as they send trolls after Rob after this debate.
Numinax for 5 says, every time I hear Andrew speak, all I can think of is the fact that he can't open a jar of pickles, and thus it's not a real man. It doesn't matter. Now, listen, that jar of pickles could have been very sticky and or very slidey, okay? Now, what I would have done, because I'm an asshole, is I would have, if I had like twisted the pickle jar and it wasn't working, I would have tapped it on the table, keep going. It's not working. Okay, I would have smashed that bitch on the ground and then eaten a fucking glass covered olive. You know, that's what I would have done. Now, would I have thought to do that in the moment? Maybe not. And so listen, we all got to take L's in public every now and then, okay? We all got to take L's in public. So while it is funny, it was funny. I think that Andrew would probably admit that it was funny. You know, well, there, but for the grace of God, go I. Okay, we all got to take L's in public. Now, I am going to thank Numinax and Corbin Sales for kicking us off with super chats. Just a quick reminder: like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. I will be gone for the next 3 days, so you know your generosity is never required, but it's always appreciated.
I don't care about that either. Only care about one thing, which is this person here.
Dude, Noerr replacing Andrew Wilson with Raging Tomato replacing the Crucible with Destiny would be fucking hysterical. I'm not going to lie.
You may know her as Sara the Tomato, who, honestly, the truth is, only has a channel which is beginning to rise to prominence, due 100,000% to the Crucible, and one Andrew Wilson. That's it. Nope. 100% due to us. That's it. Not even in dispute that this is the case. Now, why is it that Sara would be on a panel while all of these other non-tent maker anonymous idiots are sending trolls over to Rob's channel and participating and contributing to that when she knows how important Rob Noerr is to the Crucible and how much of a valued team member he is? I have no idea, but that was the stupidest thing that she's probably ever done.
Wait. Hanging out with people who were fucking with Rob. That's the stupidest thing she's ever done.
Because what you don't do is go on somebody else's panel and go after your own people. That's the opposite of nepotism. A very stupid move. Can all these people talk with impunity? Sure. Do I give a shit? No. Never commented on it before? Because frankly, they're fleas on our ass. They're meaningless. Okay, totally meaningless people on the internet. And they've made a zero dent in society ever with anybody. They've never made a single dent. This idiot's been streaming as long as I have. This one, longer than me. And they've never made a single dent. Except, of course, Rob, who has done a lot and been in some of the largest, most brutal Bloodsport debates which you could ever find online.
No. I wasn't saying Rob was getting 5K. I'm saying Andrew Wilson got 5K. But for Andrew Wilson, I do think that he's earned a substantive amount of his viewership. But his viewership, I would say, largely, the way that I remember it, listen, man, I could be corrected. But Andrew Wilson effectively became a heel on the Whatever podcast. So if you're like, Connor, I have no idea what the fuck is going on, who are these people? Andrew Wilson Whatever podcast. So if you go to the Whatever podcast, Andrew Wilson, what was going on was they were inviting on e-whores. And what I mean by that is, like, look at these thumbs, okay? Probably OnlyFans girl, Japanese OnlyFans girl. They called this chick, the larger chick, I think she's trans, by the way, but they called her like Varg the Destroyer or some shit. But then if you look at the thumbnails, it's feral girl kicked out, and it's like tomboy, e-girl, huge cans, OnlyFans girl. And so anyways, on half of these, where the thumbnails are e-girls with huge racks, Andrew Wilson goes on and just calls them whores. Like I hate to like degrade his work that much, but he's like, you're a whore, you don't understand Christianity, you're dumb, you don't know how to debate, fuck you. And that's what he did for a while. And I think that gave a lot of the audience who were effectively hate watching the content, it gave them a vehicle through which they could hate the women. And so Andrew was the unapologetic voice for them. And he also, reinforced like Orthodox Christianity and all that kind of crap, which a lot of these people probably want to LARP about. Like they want to LARP about being righteous and Christian and all that kind of crap. And so it was a mutually beneficial relationship. Now, in my opinion, I don't know his exact stats at the time, but I think Andrew Wilson effectively went from probably like a few hundred viewer live streamer who was eking out a living to now he's, again, like 5,000 to 10,000 live viewers. That's more than respectable. That's probably top 1% of live streamers is 5K to 10K live viewers. And the money seems to flow right in. So now he has a very lucrative career as a result of bullying e-whores. Now, I have not figured out what my equivalent of bullying e-whores is, but if you guys figure it out, let me know, okay? If you figure out what I can do in order to gain internet notoriety by doing something, hopefully a little bit more moral than bullying e-whores, but if there's something fun that I can do, then let me know. Let me know what that magic sauce is.
He's been on Tim Pool. He's been on massive shows, right? He's the only one here who, in the greater scheme of things, even matters. That's it. And also...
Nice. Well, QC John says, I stopped by a Rob stream a few days ago. He had almost 1,200. I mean, listen, man, those are good numbers. I can hate. I can hate from the side and throw rocks and say, oh, it's just because it's drama. Oh, it's just because the Crucible is propping him up. But listen, if you can hold 1K... it's respectable.
Very close friends with me, and he's an employee of the Crucible. Now, what you're about to see is Sara the Tomato here setting her feet on fire to warm up her hands. I have no idea why she decided to do.
I wanna see that though, because hanging out in a Twitch panel, like for me again, is not like, okay. There's other people doing cringe shit around me. Plenty of people do cringe shit all the fucking time. What's the fucking beef?
Do this. You have no idea the opportunities which have been extended to her through me, right? But it's my own fault. I take full responsibility for all of this. So here's Sara's useful aspect of what she does. She books me debates. That's it. I adhere to the moderation of the debate because that's what I do. That's the relationship. Right. And I've always said for people who support us, we'll support them. A lot of these.
Yeah. Thunder Turkey says, so Rob debates like 18th century line infantry warfare while Connor debates modern combined arms warfare. I would say so. And I would say I'm not even that great at it. Right. I would say Steven is better at combined arms warfare. But I also think he argues to win, not to understand. So I'm already kind of making like a concession to the I'm already kind of making a concession to the spirit of debate that I want to not always self-sweep anything that I'm incorrect on or uninformed on, and I do want to ultimately like pursue what I believe to be true or actual human knowledge, which is probably like a clout mistake. It's a debate mistake. It's a rhetorical mistake. but I would rather be that way because that's kind of how my personality works.
Very obscure channels get a lot of subs and get a lot of cash because of that. I mean, a lot. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. You don't come for the very people who are at the forefront who provision you, make it possible. She's about to have a big 20,000 sub party. Oh, that's great. That's great. You're welcome. My only business here is why it would be that she would be on a panel that's not hers, criticizing and laughing as they send trolls to Rob Noerr's channel, who we spent significant amount of resources to grow and make sure had enough of a force so that he could play whack-a-mole with up-and-coming leftists.
Sara is
so let's dive
guilty
in
of
and watch
hanging
the
out
complete
on a
kerfuffle
panel where
as this woman completely
were
destroys all working
creating
relationship with
Rob's
yours truly
chat
forevermore.
to troll.
Well, I don't know. How should I say this, Star?
Isn't she doing DebateCon? Oh, no. Oh, you're right. Oh, my God. Oh, how would we ever be able to coordinate DebateCon without her? Mantid will be taking over DebateCon. No problem. We'll switch the coordination right to Mantid. That was a great opportunity for Sara. Not for me. We got a great staff. My staff will take that over in 5 seconds. I'll pay her out what I promised her for DebateCon. Done.
You should kick Rob off the panel.
I would.
I swear to God.
I would actually. Yeah. I would probably do, and then close it probably shortly after, unless somebody's going to take somebody's place.
Unless somebody's going to give me an extraordinarily high amount of money to drop Rob. That'd be great. It would go to mom's medication. I think that's all.
So Tippy asking, because Rob's not participating at this point in the panel, Tippy doesn't exactly know what to do. He doesn't know if he should drop Rob or not drop Rob. He's in quite the conundrum here. Conundrum one, if he drops Rob, he's lost any potential audience he might have because none of these have one. So he's trying to hold out. Tippy's trying to hold out. He's like, well, maybe I can make a little bit of money from somebody at least, and that way when I drop Rob, it won't be a complete bust. I don't blame him. Isn't it funny?
UQ was saying that it was Lewis Machine Tool who sent them bad rifles. Okay. I had somebody who swore up and down LMT had some of the best QC, that their price point was perfectly fine, that they were a great, blah, 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 blah. I kind of told him, I was like, I'd never heard of LMT. So, I don't know. And I felt like a little cringe because it kind of seemed like he was shocked that I hadn't heard of LMT. So I was kind of vibing off of his reputation of LMT. But man, if they kind of fucked your designated marksman units, then, maybe my initial instinct of who the fuck are these guys, maybe that was correct. Anyways, quick shill. Like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. Thanks for hanging out. Parasocial love to you and yours.
Though, that I taught all of these channels, all of them, how to even make money with their channels. I taught every one of them, either directly or indirectly, how to even make money with their channels on YouTube. Idiots.
No need. I wouldn't want to step on Ryan's stuff. If it's my turn to speak, let me know. Otherwise,
so you're going to passive aggressively crash out.
Trippy, I would be happy to make it up to you and Nova Star to come on and talk to you guys. I'll rate.
Rob says to Trippy here, Trippy, I'll be happy to come back on and make this up to you. Okay? I get it. This didn't work out. It's not necessarily your fault. I'll come back and make it up to you, but these guys.
Over to your channel, everyone that's watching, no problem. But for now, everyone needs to be educated in the fantastic wisdom of Ryan. He clearly has so much to say. So I'll sit in the back until it's my turn to speak again.
Did he raid them?
Go ahead. Just let me know.
I doubt it. He's crying like a right now.
Now you see these people on this panel are talking. What you can't see is that this individual right down here is Sara the Tomato. It's not that she's not saying anything. It's that soon she will just have to join in on the pile-on as they begin sending trolls over to Rob's channel after this.
Once again, I guess I'll respond once again. Rob, as you can all tell, is not engaging. He is not demonstrating that there is a governor who is refusing to follow a federal court order. He is not demonstrating that ICE.
Put them up there together one-on-one to see if he'll engage.
He's not demonstrating that ICE is incapable of carrying out their duties, or the police are incapable or willing them to carry out their duties. He's not showing the courts are not working. He's not showing to Little Rock.
People can't even afford non-stuttering internet. You see how beautiful
Jonahzilla, take some pills, bro.
the stream is? Isn't it gorgeous? It's crisp. Looks professional. Got great audio, handsome host. It has everything you could ever want. He's can't even seem to get a panel together that doesn't stutter the entire time.
Just asserting that because of some bastardized standard of the Insurrection Act that he has engaged with by debating.
Good man to stand behind a brother. Bros before hoes. Simple. How many times have I told you people? How many times? I don't even give a shit if Rob was 100% in the wrong. I don't even care if he was.
Vince Wilson says he was so eager to in the soy pill debate to throw out he's purchasing $1 million home. Bro, that'd be the last thing on my fucking list, man. like, listen, God bless Andrew, and I'm happy he makes money and, all that kind of stuff. I gotta say, $1 million in real estate is not the priority for me, man. I'll be building a studio. I'll be opening up another business. I'll be doing all sorts of other shit before I would buy $1 million house.
When your boy gets up at the bar, you get up with him. It don't even matter if they're in the wrong. Now, he's not in the wrong, but even if he was in the wrong, I don't care. We're in an ideological war, and we're not punching right. It ain't happening. That's
much left-wing streamers that he can now invoke the Insurrection Act based on that standard.
Where's the handsome host?
Which is very silly, but if he doesn't want to engage, I mean, that's on him. Like, I think it's a bad idea, and I think it's very
This is a convoluted explanation. Well, go to your channel and tell your 5 viewers about it.
clear it's a bad idea. It's going to be as
All right, that's funny.
Dusty was explaining very well. It's an escalation, and we're obviously going to see escalation. There's going to be more and more people who are protesting. There's going to be more and more people who are potentially even breaking laws and they're protesting or even engaging in violence. And the police will likely continue to crack down on that as they have been, thankfully, because they are able.
Blah 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 blah.
The insurrection act, send the military.
Let's them up together.
Stop. Okay, I'm taking off. Thanks for having me.
Let him up together. He's not listening again.
Yep.
Wait, no. Why?
Oh, bye.
Gen X says, fuck, I have to go to training and shit. Consensus drafting, what is that? Like consensus between parties or chambers or what? Well, I guess you'll find out at training, huh? Hearshot says, you're wrong. Andrew was at 3 to 4K viewers before whatever pod. Really? Was he? Now he's at 6 to 9. Damn, Hearshot, glaze more. But the, what was I thinking? Some people are saying that it was Rollo Tomasi. Some people were saying that he did a bunch of collabs with Rollo Tomasi and that's how he blew up. But you're okay, so Hearshot. I don't know if I believe your lore, but that's fine. You're saying that Andrew. Matter of fact, let's take a look. Fuck it. Because I remember, dude, I was talking to the Crucible back when they were itty bitty babies. When every single entry had like Pedro, and Pedro was like, we're the fastest growing. Maybe that's what I need to do. I need to open up every single show and be like, we're the fastest growing channel online. Blah 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 blah. People like that kind of shit. So hold up. So we're gonna go back. Let's take a look. Crucible is currently at 243. Okay, I mean that's obviously respectable. Scrolling back in the day. This is a year ago. So let's see. 2 years ago. Maybe we'll check out a Social Blade. Maybe we'll do that. Social Blade, the Crucible. The Crucible's YouTube stats. And by the way, I'm not hating. No, not 28.7. Where's the 243? What is this one called? At the _ Crucible. Why Andrew Wilson? Oh, is it under Andrew Wilson? That's a different Andrew Wilson. What the fuck? Where's the normal one? Social Blade the Crucible. Did I type this in wrong? Maybe the Crucible Andrew Wilson Social Blade. I don't think this is it. That's not it. That's not Andrew Wilson. The Crucible. This one. This is what I was looking for. Why didn't that pop up first? They're shadow banned. 1.8 million views. Okay, so 1.8 million. That's got to be. What is that? That's like 4K. That's like 8K a month. He does make a decent chunk of revenue off of, like I was saying, super chats. But dude, in 23, he was at 600 subs. Or is that monthly gain subs? I need to look at total subs. But still, 23 minus 708,000 views, 65,000 views, 14,000 views, 69,000 views, 70,000 views. So through 22, he was kind of chilling at, like, these are, no offense to anybody involved, but these are kind of numbers that I get. Okay, man, I've already broken 100K a month. And then, you know, we kind of dip back down, but these are the kind of numbers that, let's just say these are the kind of numbers that I'm putting in as like a first year full timer. So here, and then this is November of 23. So you're saying it's not whatever podcast, but Andrew Wilson, whatever podcast. 9 months ago, so that's a year ago. So November of 23 is almost exactly 2 years ago. So I would want to see how far back his appearances go. 10 months, 5 months, 10 months. I would basically want to see when his first appearance was 1 year. And then Andrew Wilson, Rollo Tomasi. Somebody else was saying that was part of his origin story. So that's a year ago, 2 weeks ago, 6 months ago, 1 year ago, 1 year ago, 1 year ago, 1 month ago, 1 year ago. Okay, listen, like I'm not like a hater, so I'm not gonna be like, oh, you know, he made his bones. The only reason why Andrew Wilson succeeded is because of these. Like, no, I'm not going to say that. But I would be curious what his first appearances were on Rollo Tomasi and his first appearances are on whatever podcast. So if anybody has the bandwidth to research that stuff while we're creating content, then that would be cool. If not, no big deal. We'll just keep watching the content. Anyways, like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. Oh, let's go.
Because Rob's punking all of us, and he's trolling, and he's being disrespectful, and I don't know why any of you are still taking it seriously.
That's right. What Rob did was he gave you an object lesson. All of you are nobodies, and this isn't me being arrogant. I'm going.
Cop videos, breaking down cop videos. Isn't that kind of like a dangerous, though, monetization thing? Like, that doesn't Donut Operator have to do a whole bunch of editing for cop videos?
Going to state the objective truth. In the greater scheme of things, I'm a nobody as well. In the larger scheme of things, it's scalable. Compared to many people like Steven Crowder, I'm a nobody. It's all scalable. But you're at the bottom of that scale. You people are at the very bottom of that scale. So yes, while scalable, and I agree that it is, okay, what you did was you just kicked off the only person there who even had an audience to even view any of you stupid talking about the shit you're talking about. It's a good object lesson for you in how you treat guests. Don't f with them, especially when they have the following that you're counting on to make you the money, you stupid. Now this is troll number.
All right, jeez. Whew, spicy.
One, what you're seeing here that they sent over to troll Rob Noerr. He's part of this Panelverse Mafia, whatever the f that is. And he just decided to come on and troll Rob, and you'll see him make an appearance back on the panel shortly, while these people mock Rob as this is going on.
Event.
I don't believe you. Anything else?
Is it because there's a doughboy behind me?
No, that looks like Eric Cartman. I don't think he's a doughboy.
Sorry. It was one.
You don't even know your own stupid background.
What? What?
Event.
I don't believe you. Anything else?
Is it because there's a doughboy behind me?
No, that looks like Eric Cartman. I don't think he's a doughboy.
Sorry. It was one.
You don't even know your own stupid backgrounds and jokes, huh?
I don't.
Right.
It's like
strike three.
So you have no advice as far as
I don't have any advice.
Do you go out? Do you engage with protesters? Do you engage with people like in the real world, or is it just online?
I ran for Congress, and you?
Did you succeed?
I did not. And you ran?
I guess I should try, right? Because I could
I
probably.
bet you did great. I bet you did great. Where do you live, by the way?
That was quite the setup.
What state?
Anytime. Waiting for her to chime in anytime to give a defense here. Or even better, just not be a part of a panel coming after Rob Noerr. That would be good too. Just you could try that. You could try just not. You know what? You don't even have to agree or disagree. You could just do what no one has ever successfully done in their entire life. You could just shut your mouth. You could just do that. She's not going to be able to help herself, though. You'll see. As Stupid here decides to troll.
There's a lot more than doing it into the GC.
But you can hear this cackling laughter, and you'll never guess who it's coming from.
This me royally every day for a long time until recently. So ever since I discovered your content.
Life. Is that what you call him?
Who? My boyfriend?
Yeah.
Depends on the day.
Yeah.
Sometimes
different
he's
names.
called Rob Noerr, and he wants me to be called Destiny.
No.
Yeah, he calls me
Really?
Destiny, and then, I call him Rob. Yeah.
Gee, listen to that laugh. Who's that coming from?
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Are we upset that people in the Twitch and YouTube political space are debating each other and throwing elbows with each other, and somebody thinks that throwing an elbow is funny?
This me royally every day for a long time until recently. So ever since I discovered your content.
Life. Is that what you call him?
Who? My boyfriend?
Yeah.
Depends on the day.
Yeah.
Sometimes
different
he's
names.
called Rob Noerr, and he wants me to be called Destiny.
No.
Yeah, he calls me
Really?
Destiny, and then, I call
I don't even know what's going on, bro. I feel like this guy is saying that Rob Noerr wants me to be like Destiny, and then I hear Sara laughing, but I have no idea what the fucking context of this shit is. All I see is two Twitch and YouTube political people on a call-in show. And by the way, Rob doesn't have to do this shit. He doesn't have to fucking do call-ins. I don't really do call-ins. I do one-on-ones. I set up debates. So I don't have like random shitters fucking with me. But you don't have to do a call-in show. So you expect no trolls on call-ins? You think other people won't find call-ins funny? I don't even have enough fucking context to know whether or not what's going on is funny.
Rob, yeah.
Wow. That's it.
Ha 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 ha. What an optics nightmare. It just continues to get worse and worse and worse. Watch for yourself. Ha 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 ha. Well, guess what? Ha 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 ha. I know that there are going to be people who say, why don't you bring Sara up to give her side of things? Why didn't she bring Rob up to give his?
Sabercat says, what former Christian is Andrew? As really, I'm an Anglican, and I believe especially in the do not judge lest ye be judged, that God is the authority, and sometimes men be doing as it's heresy. He's Orthodox.
She can sit and suffer and watch, just like he had to wake up and suffer and watch her knife him right in the back on a panel that it was none of her business, had nothing to do, it wasn't her show, staying on with these stupid panel-verse idiots. Nobodies. They don't even cam up. They're nobody.
Wait. Okay. All right. I just got to let him go because I really genuinely do not understand the principle that's being violated. Sara is currently accused. By the way, we're like 30 minutes in. Sara is guilty of hanging out on a panel where people were brigading Rob's chat to troll. And then Sara is guilty of laughing. Sara is guilty of laughing when Rob was doing a call-in show. Bruh.
Chuckle Wucklin while they send trolls over to try to make an optical spectacle of Rob Noerr. Here's a dirty secret. Rob's a better debater than I am. Not with philosophy. But on normative political issues, Rob's the best I've ever seen. Nobody's even close.
Wait, but he can't argue sub-arguments. You have to let him lay out 12 arguments in a row without interruption, but he's the best debater you've ever seen. Listen, man, I don't agree with this at all. I think there are plenty of rhetoricians who are more talented than Rob. That being said, Rob is probably, in my opinion, the least stupid MAGA sweeper. He's the least stupid MAGA sweeper. I agree with that. But as far as like raw talent, let's just say I politely disagree with Andrew's assessment.
And he's front and center. He's got his face out there for everybody to ridicule. He's taken on the biggest debates you can imagine, and he's been ridiculed over and over and over again, blacklisted, everything else. And this stupid.
Isn't Steven the only motherfucker that's ever like blacklisted Rob? Isn't that the only person? And by the way, like, I don't even agree with Steven on that shit. Because with Rob is representative of a political tribe that needs to be contended with. And correct me if I'm wrong, somebody correct me on the timeline, but wasn't the blacklist partially because he was using AI and then lied about AI? Wasn't that a partial motivation for the blacklist? Now, I think that's kind of, I'll just say it because Steven, I don't think is as big of a pussy as this situation. I think that's kind of bitch made on Steven. That he would be like, oh, you used AI for our debate, therefore, you should be blacklisted. But I don't even think that was necessarily Steven's rationale. I think that Steven was saying that Rob was not contending with reality and arguing in good faith. He was looking for things that supported his argument, and when contradicted, would not acknowledge that they were contradictory, which I understand. Like, I could understand getting frustrated with that after a while. But who the fuck else blacklisted Rob? I don't even know who else blacklisted Rob. I doubt the Hippy Dippy did back in the day. I'm sure Prime Kai would be happy to have him on. I'm sure Wick would be happy to have him on. So what the fuck are we talking about?
But, dude, this stupid.
Oh. Okay. Actual Facts Racing kind of explains the detail. Rob asked him what he calls his boyfriend. The guy responded saying, depends on the day. Sometimes he wants me to call him Rob Noerr, and he calls me Destiny, and Sara laughs. Okay, that's a decent bant. We can't banter with each other? You can't laugh at a decent bant? What the fuck?
Yeah, in a philosophical debate, I would just completely rip Rob's face.
Dusty's here. That's my panel Sara was on where the trolls were coming from. I'd be happy to come up and answer questions if you want. Yeah, sure. Dusty, do you let me post a Discord link in chat. Now, I'm just going to say, I expect you to like self-sweep a little bit, but I would think that if these people had something that was bridge burnable, we should be seeing something more than this.
Face off, and he knows it. But on normative politics, unless he's doing the libertarian, okay, then he's going to have trouble. But he's the best. He's the best, and he's a great commentator. And by the way, I also proudly...
151 on April 10th. April 10th of what year? Because it looked like November of 23 was kind of when it popped off. So episode 151, whatever podcast. Is this it? April 10th, 2024. Okay. Thank you for looking that up. Andrew Wilson versus Feminist, April of 2024. Okay. Let's go back to Social Blade real quick. Let's see if there's a correlated jump. Social Blade, the Crucible. If this doesn't work, then we search up the Crucible up here. This is the one that I want. Shadow banned on the Crucible. Let's take a look at April of 24. Okay. Dude, April of 24, 11,000 subs. April of 24. And by the way, he's doing good. I'm not hating. Okay. I'm not hating. November of 23, he had a good month. November of 23, he had 250,000 views. That's a great month. I'm not hating on that. And then December of 23, he got 1 million. January of 24, he got 1 million. February, he dropped back down to 456. March, he got up to 1 million. And then April, which is basically when he went on whatever, was 1.5. Then 2 million in May. And then minus 2 million. They must have unlisted some videos or whatever. They must have unlisted a back catalog. in order to make sure all the newer shit got pushed more. But then he went back down to 500,000, 62, 553, minus 300. I have to assume that here for this month, I mean, I'd be happy to talk to Andrew about it at some point, but I have to assume for this little 6-month period from May of 24 to February of 25, they were unlisting shit, which is why the numbers are so low. Because this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to have 2.25 million views and then to lose this much viewership through February of 25 and then peak back up into the millions. This doesn't make sense to me. They must have been posting content, but then privating or unlisting old content. That's the only thing that makes sense to me here. So here's the thing. My favorite Asian Marine, Hearshot, took me a second to remember your name, but I remembered it. So April of 24 is right here. So this is a glow up, whatever this is a glow up after whatever podcast. This initial hub, you were saying, oh, Andrew was doing good right here. I would be curious what took him from 250,000 to 1 million. And if there was a collaboration that popped him off. But again, like, I'm not saying this as a hater. I'm not saying like, oh, Andrew Wilson doesn't have talent. Clearly he's got talent. I'm just saying that clearly a lot of people know him as the cat who bullies e-whores on whatever podcast. That's how a lot of people know Andrew. So if you have information about what it looked like November of 23 through April of 24, if you knew that Crucible lore, I would be curious to hear it.
I call him one of my best friends. He's one of my best friends. Like, this guy has been, you can't even imagine how kind this man is behind the scenes, especially to yours truly and my family.
And I'll say this about Rob. Rob's been like a rude see you next Tuesday to me on panel shows. He's been a dickhead. He's been a piece of shit to me on panels. But as far as like Rob being a decent guy who pays his bills, pays his taxes, takes care of his family, and was willing to work in home health work, I'm willing to say, Rob, I think I've said this before as well, Rob is probably a decent human being. I just think he argues for dog shit politics, and he's an asshole on panels. But I don't actually think that he's a terrible guy.
Especially when we were in our time of need. There was Rob. Rob is not replaceable. You don't make new Rob Noerrs. I'm never going to be able to sit down with a person and over the years mold them into
Thanks, Sabri. Catch you later.
a brand new Rob Noerr. He's not replaceable. All these idiots, nobody's ever going to know who the they are ever. They stream to 3 to 7 to 10 people if they're lucky, and that's usually from other Panelverse members. They all just watch each other's streams. It's the most pathetic display that you've ever seen. Rob Noerr is not replaceable. He is not a person who can be replaced. You don't get to make a new one.
Rob blacklisted Steven after Kirk, which I understand. But, you know, okay.
That's why I just laugh at them. I don't give a fuck.
You know what, though? This is what I mean, dude. They're trying
Pisco. Okay, Pisco blacklisted Rob. Didn't I talk to Pisco last night? Didn't Pisco say that he would talk to Rob now?
to stop the cook.
I know. All right, man. Thanks.
Hey, no, don't listen, bro. They're trying to stop the cook.
Okay.
Like, you're
Well, thank you, man. It's
ass, bro. You're a
Wait, hold up.
that's why I just laugh at them. I don't give a fuck.
you know what, though? This is what I mean, dude. They're trying to stop the cook.
I know. All right, man. Thanks.
Hey, no, don't listen, bro. They're trying to stop the cook.
Okay.
Like, you're
Well, thank you, man. It's
ass, bro. You're a fake, and I hope you recognize that.
There we go. Another troll sent over by the all-powerful Panelverse.
No, we
Don't
can
you
tell
love
that
the
it's
guy
eating
that's
you
so
Now, mind you, they're watching this live. They're watching this live, sending their trolls over so that they can make live commentary to try to humiliate my good friend Rob Noerr. Have you heard a single peep in his defense by Sara the Tomato? Single peep. And by the way, even if she didn't want to speak up to defend our good friend Rob Noerr, she could have just not been there. Here's the thing that's hilarious. I'm just going to point this out, right? Anybody can do Sara's job. Anybody can reach out who has a channel, right, who wants to book debates and invite me to a 1v1 debate with somebody who I'm interested in debating, and I'll go debate there. I'm not particular. Sarah's always been replaceable. That's what's hilarious. She's always been replaceable.
See, this is where I feel like I'm not going to totally moral frog about it, but Danabo is not replaceable. Okay. Danabo had the patience for like 2 or 3 years to book panel debates for Dylan Burns. And that is a tough skill. The reason why I know it's a tough skill is because I did that shit for like 5 or 6 months. I invited people to fucking panel shows. And I'll tell you, it's like herding cats. So yeah, technically anybody could do it, but it's a massive pain in the dick. And so to just dismiss this as anybody can become a panel host, I think you're right that anybody can send invitations. I don't think you're right that anybody can run a good panel. I don't think that's fucking true at all.
Rob Noerr, he's not replaceable.
Yeah, and then Destiny says he blacklisted Rob, but he said some things about Andrew. A lot of people were saying that it wasn't the AI. They said that like Rob just like made some shit up and didn't back it up or something like that. I don't fucking know the details. But at the same time, like if we're saying Rob has been oppressed by Twitch and YouTube politics, I would like more specific examples than Destiny said that he was done talking to Rob for a while. I would like a more specific example or another specific example.
He can't be replaced. He's one of the best that there is at what he does. I'm not going to find another Rob Noerr. Sarah's are growing on trees. You just walk outside.
I don't even know if that's true, but okay.
And pick them like they're apples. They're everywhere. There's a million different panel hosts who are out there, a gazillion, in fact. And again, I don't even have anything against any of these people. Not a single one of them. Why? They're not affiliated with us. They're not people of great import who I respect, right? I don't give a shit what they say. I don't care if Powdered Dusty does a stream tomorrow talking about me all day. I'll still go on a show and do a debate. I don't even fucking care about that. Don't care at all. Not the point. Point is that you don't go out of your way to join in a panel with nobodies like this and troll a channel like Rob Noerr's, talk a bunch of shit about him with these people when all of your bills are being paid by the Crucible. You.
Hold back in. And Dusty. Look at that.
Okay.
There he is. How's your boys doing, man?
Man, they were funny. They're the best part of the show.
Were you? Did you watch a lot?
I watched a little bit.
Andrew's first November. Here shot. Come on, brother. Andrew Wilson, whatever podcast, episode 118. And again, I'm not doing this as a hater. If he didn't have talent, if Andrew Wilson didn't have talent or some degree of talent, then he wouldn't be where he's at right now. So I'm not saying Andrew Wilson has no talent, but here's Andrew Wilson bullying e-whores. And let's go back to the thing. So here shot. Just in here, spreading disinformation. My favorite Asian Marine spreading disinformation. I made the argument that a shitload of people know Andrew Wilson from the whatever podcast and bullying e-whores. That was my argument. You said no, he built it on his own. He was already getting 4,000 live before this. But this is... what is this? November. Somebody said this was November 15th of 23. November 14th of 23. December 23, November 23. He got 15,000 subs from this. This was his first pop off. And then December of 23, November of 23. He got 250,000 views, bro. Like, listen, I'm not hating. Okay. It sounds like I'm hating, but I'm not hating. Okay, I'm not. I am happy as much as I dislike Andrew's politics. I am happy that I've known Dylan Burns for 5 years. I'm happy that I've known Prime Kai for 5 years. I'm happy that I've known Pisco for 5 years. I'm happy that I've known Destiny for 5 years. I'm happy I've known Andrew Wilson for 5 years. Maybe not 5 years, but like 3 years or 2 years. I'm happy that I've known Josiah for 2 years. I'm happy that I've known Hutch and IRI and I'm trying to think Lauren Southern, weirdly enough. I'm happy that I've known these people for the past 3 to 5 years. And I'm happy that to greater and lesser degrees, some of the people that I've collaborated with have become successful in the space, and these are people that I view as peers. I'm happy for them. I want some of that success for myself, okay? But if you're going to tell me that the dude was trucking around 100,000 views, something that I've already beaten, by the way, and then September, he had a good month, 190,000 views. That's a good month. Then he got 2.25, and then 2.5 in November. And then boom, we see from November 14th to December, we see a quadrupling of his viewership. I'm not saying whatever made Andrew. Andrew made Andrew. Okay. But I'm saying that whatever podcast and Rollo Tomasi, somebody hasn't even looked up the Rollo Tomasi, whenever their first conversation was. But whatever podcast and Rollo Tomasi, they had platforms that helped springboard Andrew to where he is now. And good for him and good for them. I mean, I don't like bullying e-whores necessarily, and I don't like Christian nationalism, but good for them that they are being financially and clout-wise successful. But here, shot, if you're going to be in here like, oh no, he was doing it on his own. If he was doing it on his own, I wouldn't expect to see 250,000 views. And by the way, like I'm not hating, but my Warhammer YouTube channel routinely, a slow month is 500,000 views. A busy month is like 1 to 2. Okay. So like, you know, I'm not hating. I'm just saying that this is attainable. Okay. So yeah, if he ground out politics from 0 subs to 70,000 views, that's a good jump for a first month. But if he started in October of 22 to November of 23, that's a year of grinding. So his runway was a full year, and then he got on a good platform, and then he popped off. So if you want me to modify my narrative here, Shot, or any Crucible fans, if you want me to modify my narrative, I need some contradictory evidence. Because if he went from 250,000 views to 1 million views, and he went on whatever podcast on November 14, 2023, then in my opinion, whatever is what helped launch him. So if you want to correct me on the lore, correct me on the lore. But give me some more lore.
Oh.
Well, I watched when people went over, basically.
Oh,
I watched Noerr come over.
You guys are great. That's it. You just breath.
Motorsport says he put all his videos behind a paywall. Okay.
So, yeah, we're great.
Well, we're great.
This audience is paying this woman's bills. Not her audience. This audience is paying her goddamn bills. This one.
Wait. So does that mean that you have undying loyalty to Brian? Because I would find that weird. If a Christian Orthodox had undying loyalty to Brian from the whatever podcast when they were platforming you, wouldn't you be like, hey, yeah, I love bullying e-whores, but realistically, I think you're platforming a bunch of e-whores. Don't you have some criticisms of the person that platformed you? Andrew?
They could go after Rob Noerr? You. She didn't just cross the line. She gleefully took a running long jump over it. No.
Does it feel...
Watch it.
Grid 1 says the original pop-off was the Dillahunty meltdown. Okay. So, sorry if I'm getting into the details, but I think some of these details are important. So let's do Andrew Wilson versus Matt Dillahunty. Wilson, Matt Dillahunty debate. Matt Dillahunty. So you can thank modern day debate. November 4th, 2023. So modern day debate, helped out. Again, for the 50th time, just because I don't want the Crucible people to take a clip and be like, oh, Connor's just a hater, fuck Andrew. He's saying fuck Andrew Wilson. Nah, that's not what's going on. But what I'm saying is you popped off because somebody gave you a shot against a big name. And then and you kind of did something crazy, because I'm pretty sure that this was not like a sane debate between Christianity and secular humanism. I think he bullied Matt Dillahunty about having a trans girlfriend, and then Matt Dillahunty left. So that wasn't exactly the most like tactful or honorable or polite behavior. And then, okay, bro. So sorry, Hearshot, where the fuck are you? Because Hearshot was giving me a bunch of shit on Twitter. And so for him to pop in, spread misinformation, and dip out, come on, bro, you got to defend your bullshit. So he bullied Matt Dillahunty into quitting a debate for having a trans girlfriend. Correct me on that, lore, if I'm wrong. Then he got a decent chunk of viewership on that. And then through bullying Matt Dillahunty for having a trans girlfriend, he got a shot on the Whatever podcast. And then from the Whatever podcast, let's see Andrew Wilson, Rollo Tomasi. First appearance. I don't know if Google's smart enough to find this, but Andrew Tate is the first guy. No, Andrew Wilson. Come on. Let's see when the Rollo Tomasi collabs were. Again, I'm not hating. I'm just explaining, okay? I'm just asking questions. Okay? Rollo Tomasi, Andrew Wilson. Okay. Let's see if we can find like a decent one. 2 weeks ago, it keeps saying 1 year ago, but I think that it's more than a year ago. Women changing sparked heated debate. This is No Fugazi and Andrew Wilson. So that's just Whatever podcast coverage. So let's take a look at this one. Let's see what the actual date on this one was. A year ago, February 4th, 2024. Okay, dude. So this is after Whatever podcast. So yeah, man, what am I wrong on? What am I wrong on? I don't think I'm wrong on a fucking thing, per usual.
Just keeps getting worse. You'll see. It just keeps getting worse and worse.
Does it feel bad getting blown out in debates all the time and being worthless?
Bro, you're kidding.
No.
You look, yeah, that's not what happened.
Now the Powder Dusty, who's on this panel currently, is live again with Rob. Right?
I'm sorry, is Rob doing a call-in show? Are you supposed to call in during a call-in show? What the fuck am I missing?
That's absolutely the one-on-one discussion we had. You weren't even close.
Dude.
You know it.
No, you're coping.
Yes,
hard.
you know that's true.
You're coping so hard.
What are you talking about? I'm not coping at all.
Every time.
You know that's
and Dusty, I see that you're in the waiting room or whatever. I'll call you direct in a second when we get wrapped on this. I'm sorry that I'm a yapper and I take forever to finish the fucking content, but I want to get the full context before we talk.
Every time I've been in a debate with you, you have either rage quit or tried to rage quit.
Dude, Radical Voter is the best debater I've ever seen. He crushed me, but I f***ed you up. You know it's.
I mean, you're being sarcastic, but
not anymore. And when
definitely ran.
The guy that they sent over to troll.
Hearshot says we were talking about live viewership. Dude, show me some stats. You would expect a correlate. You're telling me that somebody with 4,000 live viewers got 200,000 post-recorded views? Dude, I broke like 150,000 live viewers and I have like between 100 and 300 live. I don't think that correlates at all. What the fuck? What are you talking about?
Oh, Rob now popping up on this panel. That's really weird. It was like there was some kind of coordinated effort here, because there was, to try to optically make Rob Noerr look bad, because there was. It almost seems like Sarah's participating in this, because she is.
You need to go back and see when you went in there again last time.
Well, I want to be the bigger person here and say that we got smoked, y'all. We got our losses on the chest. It's true. Even I don't know anything about the guy. I'll be fair here. I just know that he's like a standard conservative. But Ortho, pretty bad showing. The other guy, what's the guy with the hat? Really bad. I mean, following that was just like I was so secondhand embarrassed. I wanted to cry. But we can do better next time.
What?
We're gonna win in the Song Olympics. Hashtag.
I wasn't there to troll him. Like I genuinely am annoyed. Like I'm genuinely annoyed.
Okay.
With him.
Everybody did great. It was actually funny as, and yeah,
it was funny. They went and trolled him. It was hilarious. Okay.
I'm pretty sure one of those guys just said, "Hey, number one, all of your guys' efforts were not that great." And then another guy said, "I didn't go in there to troll him. I actually went in there to debate him."
Act like a joke, get treated like a joke.
Well, I think this is what happens when people with the panel verse that way. Right. If you're not a panel verse person and you come in and you try to with the panel verse.
Who's this talking? Why, that's Sara the Tomato talking. Let's make sure we don't miss
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't want to miss a single fucking detail. So far, Sara has said panelverse, and you know, maybe that's cringe, maybe it's self-aware cringe. I don't really care. But saying like in the debate scene, in the panel scene where you jump on, you fight people, you have open, oh, yay, money! Money. Thank God, finally, I got paid. Woo! Woo! I got paid. Last month was very good to me. Thank you. I'm just off the top of my head, I'm going to thank a whole bunch of people right now. So Corbin and Numinax have super chatted so far today, but I want to thank the rest of you too, because you guys have been insanely generous. So Patriarch, Sen Patriarch, Grassroots Hegemon, Dr. Zayas, Gen X, Christian Valeris. I'm trying to think of who else. Numinax obviously did a whole bunch. There's why can't I think of anybody else right now? But obviously Corbin Sales and Numinax from today. But there was also a whole Well QC John did a huge donation. Anonymous Chatter did huge donations, plural. And there's a few other people who either did like they did a whole bunch of 5s and a whole bunch of 10s, or some people just like threw up. Like I think Kai did like a $69 donation the other day for like no fucking reason. So while I don't even really have a while, I want to thank you. The insane amount of viewership, 100 to 300 is not crazy for Twitch and YouTube politics, right? Like there's plenty of 100 viewer Andys, but I think that disproportionately, and I want to sing your guys' praises. I think I disproportionately have a smart chat. I think I disproportionately attract a chat that challenges me on my bullshit. I think disproportionately these people are willing to back the show with their money, and I'm endlessly thankful. Last month was phenomenal. This month is not as crazy as last month was, but it's still a great month. And so I just want to say thank you. Like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. If you're brokies and you're paying bills, don't worry about it. Handle your business, pay your bills, take care of your community, take care of your family, take care of yourself. If you got a little bit of extra money burning a hole in your pocket, then super chats and memberships are appreciated, never required. And you guys were so phenomenal over the past 6 weeks that I am humbled. I am humbled by your financial support. So thank you. Let's keep it running. Parasocial love to you and yours. Let's run the content.
A second.
Trolled him. Like I genuinely
Woman, give me another drink, please.
am annoyed.
Rude.
Like I'm genuinely annoyed with him.
Everybody did great. It was actually funny as and yeah. Act like a joke, get treated like a joke.
Yeah, Powder Dusty, I see you there. I just want to I'm sorry that I'm taking so long to get through the content, but I do want to get through it to see what the strength of the accusations are. So far, all I've heard Sara say is, hey, when you fuck with panel people and you try to big dog panel people are going to tell you to go fuck yourself. That's all I've heard so far.
And Rob acts like a joke. He gets treated like a joke. The only person who's on any of these panels who's not a joke, who's had real life effects in the world, the only person who's made any sort of dent in the culture war at all, the only one who's ever done anything, he's the joke. All of these no cam, no name, nobodies, they're the successful people you see.
Well, I think
nobody said that shit.
this is what happens when people with the panelverse that way.
Sara says this is what happens when people with the panelverse.
Right. If you're not a panelverse person and you come in and you try to with the panelverse people, like they will all band together. Like you just can't do that. You just
that's even a descriptive term. I don't even know if that's like a morally prescriptive term. Sarah's guilty of laughing when Rob was doing a call-in show. And then the next one is people who participate in panels will attack anyone who tries to big dog them. That's not even necessarily a prescriptive statement. That's a descriptive statement that's true.
You can't go around to panelverse shows and flip out on hosts and get mad at hosts or with host shows and do that kind of stuff and then expect everyone to turn and look at you and be like, oh yeah, come on back. You know,
Whores.
Bring me a shot, please. Yeah, that's Sarah. Her mic is showing, you stupid. Look. Whoa, whose audio box is that?
like,
I'm sorry. Was that a backstab? What the fuck are you talking about?
I think I think he doesn't know the power of
Yeah, that's Sarah, you stupid idiot. Kiss, you your little teeny tiny little panel. You. Let's listen to it again.
you come in and you try to with the panelverse people.
Oh, you try to with the panelverse people. Oh no, not the panelverse people who I've blown out a million times.
Like they will all band together.
Well, I agree. She's right. Listen to the last part
You
here.
come in and you try to with the panelverse people, like they will all band together.
You come in though, and you try to with the Crucible, and we all band together too.
Like you just can't do that. You can't go around to panelverse shows and flip out on hosts and get mad at hosts or with host shows and do that kind of stuff. Expect everyone to turn and look at you and be like, oh yeah, come on back. You know, like I think
Okay. And then if you're a dick to hosts or a whiny baby, then hosts aren't going to want you back. This is also descriptively true. Ask me how I know.
I think he doesn't know the power of the panelverse.
I think he doesn't know the power of the panelverse. What part of the Crucible takes care of its own people are we not understanding here? We take care of our own people. You know where you're never going to catch me? On oppositional panels talking about Rob Noerr.
Conservative liberalism says, will marriage save the West? The Crucible, September 24, 2023. And again, just need to point this out. This isn't hating. Collaborations are an important part of growth. Okay. So I'm not hating on that part of it. Okay. So Rollo Tomasi, will marriage save the West? Crucible. See if we can find it. 2 years ago, we got Andrew Wilson. There's a picture of him, so we're not bullshitting. Also, I like this lawyer guy. I've seen this James Sexton guy. He's kind of cool. Listen, man, I'm not gay, but I think this dude's good looking, right? And he's got a sleeve tattoo, and he's a lawyer, and he talks about, basically like divorce and how people get fucked over in divorce. And I've seen him say like a few cringe red pill things, but realistically, he's also really funny and pretty smart. So I'm not gay. All right. I'm not gay. But if I was gay, I would hang out with James Sexton. So hold on one more time. Okay. The September live September 24, 2023. I already know where this is. So the Crucible, Andrew Wilson Social Blade, it's not going to work. I click on it. I go to the wrong Andrew Wilson. I go up here. I go to the Crucible. And so I know what Hearshot is saying is that like live viewership is different than post-recorded views. And I agree. But it would be shocking to me if somebody was getting less post-recorded views than me and they had 4,000 live views. That would be shocking to me. If they had 4,000 concurrent live viewers and they were getting less viewership than me, that would be fucking shocking. So September 4th, 2023, September, 200K. Dude, I've competed with this already with almost 200 live. With 100, when I'm by myself and I'm talking about my own content and I'm just hanging out with the counterpoints, when I'm just hanging out with the community of Grill Hottest, we're at 100. When we're talking about drama involving other people, we're between two, let's say 100 and 300. Sometimes we'll break 2, right? If it's a super hot drama, we'll hit 3. So if I've already gotten to where Andrew was here with 200 concurrent, you're telling me he had 4,000 concurrent? I don't believe you. I don't know how we would look up concurrent live viewers, but there's, in my opinion, this is an opinion, so it's like an asshole. Everybody has one, and they all stink, okay? I don't think you could get 200,000 post-recorded views with 4,000 live stream viewers. I don't think that's a thing. So if we're talking about collabs with Rollo Tomasi, collabs with whatever podcast, and then we're talking about whatever podcast, again, Andrew has talent, or else he would not be in the position that he's in. However, the narrative that Andrew Wilson started bullying e-whores and became popular as a result, I think that narrative stands, unless I'm giving contradictory information. He hung out with some of the big names in Red Pill. He was an up-and-comer in the Red Pill space. He had his own, show that he was running dutifully for a year. He got hooked up with the right people who hooked him up with the right people. They hooked him up and they blew him up. And good for him. That's how it works. Again, no hate in reference to the dynamics of clout. That's how it fucking works. But I think that this narrativization of like, oh, I'm a big dog, I was always going to make it. Nah. There's plenty of dead creators on the side of the road who hustled and grinded for a year and they just didn't get a shot. Even if they were talented and they said, you know what, fuck it, it's not worth it to me. I'm not that passionate about it. I think the people who make it are the people who have talent, but they also have persistence.
Even worse, because it's a sneak attack. And it's going after somebody that they think is somebody that they can target and attempt to humiliate in order to bring the light of the Crucible down, in order to make the Crucible look bad. So they go after what they consider the weak link. The guy who does have a public persona, who's affiliated with the Crucible because he's employed by us. By the way, best decision I ever made was employing that guy. Best one I ever made. The entire time I've been streaming. Don't tell me that this isn't coordinated. Because I can clearly see it's coordinated, and I can clearly see all these people talking about this guy when he's not even there.
Grid Motorsports says that he's a member of the Crucible and is willing to come and talk about it. Let me talk about Dusty, Grid, or let me talk to Dusty real quick, Grid Motorsports. And then if you're still around afterwards, I'll cover it. Okay, cool. And then Sara got back to me before, or got back to me on the DM. Basically, just it's a security precaution. Okay, it's a security precaution for brigading, and there were some rumors that some people were thinking about brigading or mass reporting, and so she's just playing it safe. And I agree with that. Protect your channel. So let me call Powdered Dusty real quick. And Dusty, I'm adding you as a friend, and I'm calling you, and I'm in a voice channel. So if you want to jump into the call, I'm not jumping into the room because I don't want other people to jump into the room. I want to call you. So check your Discord. I'm already in a video call with you. And then I'll just check in with chat while I'm waiting for you to pop in. And I'll mute myself because, well, hold on. Dusty, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I cannot see myself.
Okay.
Here.
Work on your cam because I don't see your cam in Discord. So. Okay. So Dusty, my opinion, while trying to be respectful to all involved, is that I think that, man, let me try to be respectful. I think Rob is being sensitive. I think Andrew is backing his boy. I think the case against Sara is overstated. And the evidence that they presented, unless I'm missing additional evidence, is that Sara said people who participate in panels will come together, even if they hate each other. They will come together to dogpile anybody who comes into a panel and tries to big dog them or tries to throw their weight around. And then she also said, if you're a dick to hosts, and she didn't say this, but I'm inferring this, or if you're a whiny baby, then hosts are not going to want you back, which I think are descriptively true statements. What am I missing?
Nothing. That's about it. Definitely being sensitive, and it's so sensitive that it feels contrived to me. It feels like the issue being presented is not the real issue.
It does. I was borderline going to say that. It almost feels like it's drama to cut off people that they just don't want to interact with.
Correct. That sounds right to me.
So the reason why that frustrates me, and again, nobody is obligated to create content that they don't want to create. Okay, like nobody has. I'm not going to come to your house and be like, no, you have to do panels with shitters forever. You must participate in panel content. Like nobody's doing that. But I think that the debate space was established by shitters going on to panels, fighting each other, making entertaining content, and then everybody profiting from the debate scene. So if you're too big of a fucking pussy to show up to a panel and throw elbows, then generally speaking, people can call you a fucking pussy. And I think rightfully so. Right. So, I mean, that's it. I think that's the sum total of it. Or again, what am I missing?
My best guess is it's territorial. I mean, Sara was, her subs were growing, faster than Rob's for sure. It looks territorial to me, right? You know, if you're Andrew and you're managing a Machiavellian organization from the top down, and you have somebody below you who's gaining too much traction too fast, what do? You cut the legs out from under him, and you can do it publicly to make a display. And I'm purely speculating here, but it's because there really isn't a reason here. Right? That's
the other thing that I wrote down, which
I lost my audio from you.
Oh, sorry. That's the other thing that I wrote down that I think is very interesting, and I think there's a Machiavellian interpretation, and then there's kind of like a normie interpretation. So, what Andrew said that he said he has two rules. Okay, he said if you backstab me, you only get to do that once. Okay, I mean I think that's an okay rule. And then if you're too stupid to get it, then you're too stupid to work with. But that too stupid to get it, quote unquote, is for me, if I was being ultra charitable, I would say that would be about the backstab rule. Like if you don't understand that you can't backstab me, then fuck you, right? That's like the ultra charitable read. The non-charitable read is if you're not part of the team, then fuck you. And that's kind of my question where it's like, did Sara say, oh, Rob's throwing his weight around, but I'm not going to fucking be big dogged by some random asshole showing up on my stream and throwing his weight around. So no, I'm not part of your team. You can go fuck yourself. And I feel like that's the less charitable read, but I still think it's possible.
I mean, the second rule is a gaslight if you have questions about the first rule. Because the fact of the matter is she didn't backstab him. She was laughing at people. It was light trolling. And he was bringing each one of us up.
Wouldn't that arguably be a front stab? Isn't backstabbing where you're talking shit about somebody behind their back? Isn't a front stab where you're fucking saying like, hey, this is how I feel about you. Go fuck yourself.
Backstab is when you covert contract somebody you interact with into and then do a public execution of them. He had never expressed not to go places and laugh at people. You couldn't express it because it would be an absurd request.
Well, and then that's where I wonder if it boils down to teamsmanship bullshit, where it's just like, oh, you're either part of the team or you're not. You're either pushing our mission forward or you aren't. And if you aren't pushing our mission forward, then fuck you. But then I think that goes back to some of the frustration with the Twitch and YouTube political scene. In reference to Prime Kai realistically would take anybody as long as they put on a good show. So I actually don't think that he's that biased of a recruiter. Dylan Burns, in my opinion, kind of stacked the shows a little bit to be more favorable to lefties, but it's not like it wasn't a fair platform to fight on. If you were a rightoid who showed up and threw elbows well, you could still have a great show and fucking dunk on the lefties. So whatever bias was there, it wasn't enough to totally ruin the show. And then with Sara, maybe I'm overly grateful but Sara seemed like a decent window into the dissident right wing, because correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like 60%, 70% of the audience are like Trump people, but then it seems like there's enough liberals and lefties around to throw their elbows too.
Yeah, Sara was a neutral enough person, and she wasn't formally part of the Crucible, right? She had enough neutrality that she could get people to come in and debate against Andrew, Rob, people like that. Because most people who become familiar with them won't go to their turf. I'm learning increasingly, they really don't want to debate anywhere where they don't have mod fixed. And that's something actually that we're dealing with right now. There's a few people in the community who are trying to get, myself included, who have challenged Rob specifically to debates, and he won't do it unless his head channel mod is the mediator. Mod. It's pretty absurd. So I'm coming to the conclusion that they're not really interested in debates at all. They're interested in contrived advertisements where it looks like they're winning, but really they're just kind of playing games.
Well, and that's where I don't know if you saw my drawings, but I have plenty of schizophrenic drawings with argumentation. One of the things that frustrated me about what Rob said, and I'll pull it up for chat real quick, but this is one of the things that Rob said, and he doesn't have to agree with my characterization of his arguments, but it's what I believe. He was saying that unless he's allowed to go on 2-minute to 5-minute uninterrupted rants where he gives 3 to 10 talking points, then this is a bad debate. Where a panel, maybe I've been around for too long or whatever, for a panel, if you go through your first 2 or 3 talking points and I think you're wrong on number 3, there's no panel etiquette that says that I shouldn't be able to say, hey, talking point number 3 is total fucking horse shit. Fuck you. And let's fight about that. And I think that any panel participant who's worth their salt, they shouldn't say, hold on, I need to be able to get out my next half dozen talking points. They should be able to say, okay, let's fight about point 3. And that's debate, by the way. So for me, that whole argumentation feels super fucking weak.
Yeah, it feels like a faked injury. Like he crashed like a soccer player. Because he really wasn't hardly getting talked over at all. It was like the first opportunity he saw to cry bully, he took it, and then he spent the next 45 minutes or so with the tab muted, but his camera on, so we can all see him, completely ignoring the panel. That's just douchebag behavior, and especially since when he explains it, he wasn't even mad at the host of that. He starts blaming
Trippy or whatever. He wasn't mad at
Sara.
Trippy.
Yeah. Right. So he took his frustration with Sara out on Trippy and is trying to justify that. It's just the whole thing doesn't make sense.
Okay. Well, I mean,
I think that.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that Andrew is and Rob too, I assume, they're used to their audience just taking whatever they say with no questions. And they're getting a little more pushback now than they expected.
Well, and that's what the conversation that I had with Pisco last night, because by the way, like Pisco and I fight like fucking cats and dogs. We're not, he's more liberal than me. We fucking fight. But with Pisco, what we were talking about is that there's this logic. He said it was from Darth something, I forget. But effectively, like what I've seen Crucible orbiters, which include like Cooley or Koozie or whatever, what I've seen them do is they build a logic chain all the way back to like God, right? They're like, God created the universe. That's where I get my moral center. Scripture is how I, see truth. What's up? Oh, the phones? Cool. Sorry. Just dealing with life on top of everything else. But basically, so they orient their arguments back, but then I feel like that line of argumentation, exactly what I said, where you have to be able to get like 12 talking points out. Well, it feels strong because you're following like an uninterrupted logic chain that traces all the way back to like the creator of the universe. But I think when you're an actual debater or whatever, if people disagree on point 2 or point 3 or point 4 or point 7, then they need to be able to interrupt in order to fight on that. Because what happens whenever like they get done with their spiel and then they're like, okay, well, I disagree with point 2. Instead of engaging with you on point 2, they might like fight it out a little bit, But then if you actually corner them on the logic of that, then they return to the chain and they just reiterate the chain over and over again. And so it doesn't really feel like an attempt to understand reality or to have your
Correct.
perception challenged. It just feels like a way to like reinforce a logical dogma.
Yeah. And if I give you 10 talking points in a row, you address the first one, and I could say, well, what about all these other things? So you're agreeing on point 5, you're agreeing on point 7, and it gives them just a bunch of different ways to play if you can lay it, if you can.
Well, and that's what they do too. They're like, oh, well, you agree with me on point 5, so don't you agree with me on everything? That's another thing that they've done argumentatively that I thought was total bullshit.
Thing that's interesting that I don't think Andrew does it. I think Rob might a little bit, but that some people do is there's a thing called overload induction hypnosis, which is when you lay out too many claims in a row faster than people can actually kind of think through and fact check them. It lulls people into a hypnotic state. If you're familiar with gematria, a lot of the gematria people do that, and they'll just rattle off numbers and dates and all sorts of corresponding things faster than the audience can process it.
I'm not familiar with it specifically, but it is something that obviously occurs within debate. And then I would argue it's the same thing. People accuse me of going on 2 to 3 minute rants or 2 to 5 minute rants, and I do. But the reason why I do that is not because I'm trying to lull the audience into a sense of complacency. It's because I'm trying to provide them a narrative. But at the same time, if my opponent wants to interject or they want to argue any sub point of the fucking narrative, then feel free to do so. And we can argue about the merits of the sub narrative. But that's because I feel like I'm more interested in what's real than I'm interested in constantly being correct. And I think that's like one of the problems with debate, especially with the Twitch and YouTube political debate scene, is you can argue to be correct, at which point you make no concessions. I forget what the other thing is. It's like make counter accusations. It's like deny everything, accuse them of what you're guilty of, make counter accusations or something. Like it's a Roy Cohn quote. Oh, here it is. Sorry. Deny everything, admit nothing, make counter accusations. Which I feel is like a lot of the debate space now, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Another thing that's interesting though is he doesn't show it in the video, but the string of people coming from my panel to his panel was kicked off by North.
Well, what? North, my Republican friend?
Yep.
Well, and then was it a call-in show? What was it?
Yeah, he was having a call-in show, and Sara, it was the last time you were over at Sara's. She raided me afterwards, and then she joined the panel. North was in the raid, and he joined, and we had been paying more attention to what Rob was going on because of the debate that fell apart earlier that night. And so when North found out that Rob was streaming and having a call-in show, he went over there. It's pretty funny. It's worth the watch if you want the link. But,
yeah. Send that to me. Maybe we'll take a look at it. Just maybe we'll divide that up into like a second bot or something. But so for me, I guess my frustration is with call-ins. Okay. Call-ins, at least the way that I understand it, is anybody can do a call-in. I basically jump into my back room. I have a waiting room. If I see somebody that I particularly hate and don't want to talk to, maybe I won't talk to them. But effectively, like I can just drag in whoever I want to talk to. But the expectation when you don't vet who you're dragging in to talk to is, yeah, sure, you're going to get real debates. You're going to get schizophrenics. You're going to get people who don't know their ass from their elbow. But you're also going to get trolls. You're going to get people who just want to fuck with you, or they just want to, instead of talking about the prompt, they're going to want to stab you on a character flaw or stab you on a personal point. And so for me to say like, oh, it's beyond the pale for people who are critics of Rob to show up and fuck with Rob during a call-in show, I mean, this feels alien to me as far as what's expected in the space. It doesn't feel real to me.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is real, especially since he knew that they were coming from my panel, and just in between people showing up, he'd talk to us and say, "Oh, send your whatever over," and then I showed up at the very end because I wasn't intending to, because I really had nothing to say to him. But he goes, Dusty, come on over. Blah, 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 blah. You know, so I was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah. So, and by the way, that's perfectly fucking normal. So
Perfectly normal.
send me the link because I might check that content out. And then I would like, I want to talk to Motor Grid One Sports because they said that they're a Crucible member and that they want to, they want to kind of come and explain like the Crucible version of it. And I don't think that I've really disagreed with anything that you've said. So I guess my question is there anything else that my chat should know from your perspective?
One other thing that I think is relevant is that, DebateCon's coming up, and Sara, Andrew had asked Sara to set up something, book hotel blocks, shit like that. No formal employment, but he said he'd pay her. So this fallout happened right before DebateCon, after she'd completed her work. Last I knew, which was like yesterday, she had not been paid still. I don't know if you've ever worked as a contractor.
Oh, no.
Or a subcontractor, but if you're a there's the old thing where the contractor picks a fight with the subcontractor right before the job's done so that they don't have to do the last payment. That's something.
I hope that's not it. I really hope that's not it. And by the way, like I'm just saying that because I am familiar. I used to work in construction admin. Yeah, there were some shady motherfuckers who would basically do a job, or they would take payment up front, or they would take partial payment, and then they would be like, this actually happened with tree services. So tree services, immediately after a hurricane, what they would do is they would take like a 50% down payment, and they wouldn't really discuss the scope of the work with the person. They would just say, oh yeah, I'll get this tree off or whatever. And then what would happen is when they came back to do the work, they would do the bare fucking minimum. They would chop and drop the tree and they would organize the logs or whatever. But then when the people were like, hey, can you also get this fallen tree? Can you get this fallen tree? Can you get this fallen tree? Then they would try to increase the price by they would try to triple or quadruple it. And then they would use the beef with the customer as an excuse to leave the job site with effectively what was like double or triple the market rate for the same work. So yeah, I've seen it. I hope that's not it. I think Andrew is saying that he's got tons of cash, so I hope that he's willing to pay for any work completed.
You'd think so. You'd hope so. You'd think that it wouldn't be worth, even if he wanted to rip her off. You'd think that he'd have enough self-awareness to go, you know what? I'm a public figure. She's a public figure, and this has too much risk for me to bother on that stunt.
Yeah, Doobie saying that we're being haters. He's saying that Andrew 100% is going to pay her. So because it would be a black eye. So I will not hate. I will not hate until I have a reason to hate. So
and I'm not saying he won't pay her. Right. I'm not saying he won't. You just
think the timing's weird. That's.
I just recognize the setup. I worked in construction for long enough that I recognize the setup when you do contract work without a contract.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Then, so it sounds like that was just a little bit of insight that they were, while Sara wasn't necessarily an employee of the Crucible, she was working with them on DebateCon, trying to help them do logistics for the people who were coming out, who were members of the Crucible. Correct. That kind of made her more of a part of the tribe. So maybe Andrew was expecting additional loyalty. But then from Sara's perspective, it's like, I'm doing a job for you, but we're not best friends,
Right. She's not an employee. They're not friends. All that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool.
Just another piece of information.
Anything else we should know about?
Not off the top of my head.
All right. Thanks, bud.